Hello, friends. I hope that you are all well and that you've been having a wonderful Saturday and that you haven't forgotten our 5-day challenge that is still on during the weekend. Today, as you may have noticed, our topic is sleep. And so I hope that you've had a chance to take a look at our little capsule with my colleague, Dr. Rebecca Robillard, who is also the director of the Sleep Consortium in Canada. So she's that network. It's a network of researchers and clinicians that are focusing on the impacts of sleep on health, namely on mental health, but also on physical health. So, I mean, we've known about the importance of sleep on physical health for a while, but we are now also noticing a lot of effects of a lack of sleep on mental illness. And actually, in reality, we also see that in some patients that are suffering from depression, when we correct their sleep and allow them to sleep better, we are able to diminish some symptoms of depression that they are experiencing. So sleep is really important. It's important for our well-being, for our health, to keep us going all day, but it has an important impact on our mood, our cognitive abilities as well. We are much more focused and sharp when we've slept well than when we haven't. And there are several reasons why we may not sleep well. We may experience disturbed sleep, or we may be going to bed too late and having to wake up too early. But when we don't sleep that appropriate amount of time, we do see significant impacts on our health. But the other thing to keep in mind is that sometimes the impact of lack of sleep are not noticeable right away, but they compound and they add over time. And only later we will notice some consequences of the lack of sleep on our health. So it's important to be mindful of that, to plan our day accordingly, and to find out too, as you saw from the capsule, what is the right amount of sleep that we need. Because too little sleep is not good, but also too much sleep is also not good and can be detrimental. And we do see that with individuals that suffer from major depression, it's not only that they are experiencing disrupted sleep, but in some cases they are sleeping too much. And so sleeping too much can also have negative effects on our physical and mental health. For one, we are less active as well. We're not social during that time. We're not productive. And so it can end up impacting multiple facets of our life. So sleep is great, but just at the right amount. And so how do we find out what that right amount is? Well, there are clinicians that can help us determine that. But as individuals, we can also try to find out what is that appropriate amount of sleep that we need. And we'll know by trying different bouts of sleep. So in general, what we do see is that typically somewhere between 6 to 8 hours of sleep per night is sufficient for people. But sometimes people are still highly functional with less than 6 hours of sleep, and it may work well for them. But for some people, they need 9. But we try not to exceed that, especially on a regular basis, because too much sleep can also have negative consequences on our physical health, mental health, on our professional life, family life, etc. And so it's good to keep a balance on all that and to be mindful and find the right time. Now, of course, I say that, and I'm also guilty of not sleeping enough. And sometimes we're just so busy with everything that we need to do with work, with family responsibility, household work, etc., that it seems that the only place where we're able to cut is sleep. But it's not good practice to do that, and it's important to be mindful of that. And so the best way is to prepare ourselves for bedtime. So keep a routine, tell yourself, well, for me, I need this many hours of sleep. And because I need to wake up at that time the next day, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to go to bed by this time. And once you have that bedtime set, make sure that you switch off screens about an hour or two before you go to bed. Ideally two, but I know that it can be challenging. So I think at least an hour is important. And then start a bedtime routine, whatever it is, brushing your teeth, etc. Whatever that bedtime routine is, could be doing some meditation, some relaxation, deep breathing, etc. Prepare your brain to just wind down and calm down. And that preparation makes it so that you're able to have a much deeper sleep once you have fallen asleep, and hopefully also stay asleep throughout the night. So try that, and establish yourself a bedtime routine. As you saw from the capsule, we also see that some people may need a midday nap to kind of re-energize during the day. And as Dr. Robillard suggested, that midday nap should not be too close to bedtime. So ideally, you don't want to have it in the afternoon or too late in the afternoon. If possible, it's better to have it in the morning, that nap. And it's interesting because we don't typically think of that when we think of naps. We think about, more like afternoon naps, but we see that will then impact the quality of our sleep at night. So if you're someone who does need a nap, a midday nap, try to have it as early as you can in your day so that it doesn't interfere with your nighttime sleep and that you're still able to sleep well and so on. Now, as we age, we do experience more interrupted sleep. Sometimes we also need to wake up to go to the bathroom, drink water, etc. We need to account for all these interruptions in the amount of time of sleep that we are calculating. So if you need to sleep 7 hours per night, then you need to account for this time that you're up going to the bathroom, how much time it takes you to fall asleep. And so if all that takes 30 minutes, well, then you need to go to bed 30 minutes earlier to account for this interruption. So be mindful of when you go to bed, and also how you sleep once you've fallen asleep. Is it interrupted? Is it not? How can you ensure that you get the appropriate hours of sleep that you need to be most effective during the day? Sometimes we don't realize it, that we're not sleeping enough and that it's impacting our physical or mental health or cognitive abilities. And so because of that, it's also important to be mindful of what other people tell us. If other people tell us, well, I feel like lately you're having a hard time concentrating, or you're not remembering things I've told you, you're not understanding what I'm telling you. Well, these are all cues that maybe we're not sleeping enough. Because what happens when we don't sleep enough is that it becomes a chronic stress factor in our body. And that chronic stress will cause neuroinflammation. So inflammation inside of our brain. And that will interfere then with neuronal communication. It will interfere with neurotransmitter release and production, hormone release and production. And so because of that, we'll start seeing consequences on our cognitive abilities, on the regulation of our mood, our temper, etc. And if you notice that you're becoming more irritable or you're less patient and you're usually not like that, well, maybe it's a signal. It's a signal that your body's tired, your brain is tired, and that perhaps you need to sleep more hours, at least an hour more, or calculate your time and figure out whether you are lacking of sleep. Because as I said, these are just subtle changes that we see in our behavior that are indicators that we're not sleeping enough. But sometimes they can help us prevent bigger problems, because we do see that chronic lack of sleep is associated with neurodegeneration. So it is associated with dementia, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease. And so that's something that we want to avoid collectively. So let's do our part. Let's do our share by ensuring that we get an adequate amount of sleep during the day. And I want to really emphasize the adequate, because I don't want to make it sound like sleeping many hours a day is necessarily good. We know that it's also not good. So sleeping too much is not good. Sleeping too little, it's not good. So you just need that adequate amount of sleep, and that's the best that you can do for yourself, for your health, for your mental health. And so make sure that you are mindful of that, and that you are planning your sleep time accordingly, and that you are ensuring that you're sleeping just the right time, just the right number of hours for you to function well and to be healthy. So I hope that you've been able to integrate this challenge, and that you are going to be mindful of that going forward. I'm also curious to see whether you have kept up with the challenges that we have been now presenting for 4 days. So today's our fourth day together. Tomorrow we will be meeting again with a new, fresh and new challenge to propose to you. So I hope that you'll be able to follow that challenge as well, and that you will be able to keep up with these new small behavioral changes that we have suggested to you into your daily routine. The idea really is to help you and accompany you in this journey of healthy living and healthy behavioral choices. And so we just want you to be mindful of that. We're all in this phase right now as New Year's resolution, where we all want to improve our health, and we are mindful of our physical and mental health. And so hopefully you're able to integrate these minor changes that we are proposing, and that you are finding it beneficial. So if you have been participating, please leave us a comment, a note, provide feedback. We want to see whether you're finding this challenge helpful. I see a comment by my dear friend and colleague, Dr. Andra Smith, who has been participating and supporting us in this challenge. Thank you, Andra, for being here today as well. Means a lot to us. And I'm very happy to see that you've been enjoying this challenge, and that you are finding it helpful. And the idea is really to also feel socially connected throughout this challenge. You know, it's not easy to make lifestyle changes. It's not easy to integrate some of these in our daily routine. But when we have that social support, that connectiveness, it really helps us, you know, persevere and really work hard to integrate these changes, and know that we're not alone, that we're doing this with a community, we're doing this together, and encouraging each other and supporting us. So I hope that you will tonight plan your sleep better. If you've had a nap during the day, I hope that you were able to plan it to have it as early as you could. And ideally, as you saw in the video, you want to also limit those naps, you know, so 15 to 20 minutes is ideal as per Dr. Robillard's recommendation. We don't want to sleep in the middle of the day for too long, for several hours. That's not good, because it will end up impacting our nighttime sleep. So be mindful of that. If you're having a midday nap, please try to have it early and keep it short, just enough to re-energize yourself. And also plan your nighttime sleep so that it is the most restful that you can. The better you sleep, the more melatonin that your brain will be able to produce, and the better quality of sleep you will experience. So friends, plan your nighttime sleep today well. Make sure you maximize your melatonin production in the brain, and that you get a restful night of sleep tonight, but also all the nights to come. So integrate that, get a nighttime routine going, and hopefully you will be able to sleep well. As I've said before, if you have any questions on any of the challenges that we are proposing, if you have any feedback on this event or any other event that we are organizing, we would love to hear from you. So please take a moment to send us an email or send us a comment, whether it's on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. We would love to hear from you. So thank you for your participation. Thank you for being here today. Wishing you all a wonderful afternoon and a great weekend. I'll be again on tomorrow after our final challenge. So we'll meet at 3 p.m. tomorrow. If you are available, I would love to have you on and hear from you. And thank you also, Andra, for all your support that you've been providing us. Really, really appreciate it. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. So have a wonderful afternoon, everyone, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.